Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be testing out a foundation. This foundation that I have right here is probably one of the most controversial foundations ever, and it is the Tarte Shape Tape foundation, and this is the Double Duty Beauty foundation. It is a matte foundation. I'm sure if you guys haven't been living under a rock, you're probably aware of all the taboo with this foundation. A lot of controversy on it, and rightly so. I wasn't aware of it at the time because I wasn't really feeling well at the time that this came out, and I just had no idea about anything, and I hadn't looked at reviews or anything. But obviously since then I've educated myself on the topic, and I do think it's great that, you know, YouTubers and Instagrammers and beauty lovers alike are getting on board and saying we need more shades. It's not good enough to just have a few shades that are selected to one particular grouping of people, that everybody should be included, and there shouldn't be any issue in 2018 with bringing out enough shades for everybody. I know Tarte did say something about, you know, in the summertime you're darker than in the winter time. I know that with Caucasian skin we might get a shade or two darker. I definitely don't feel like my skin changes that much between seasons, and I know if you are a person of colour, more than likely your skin does not change that much between winter and summer. You still have dark pigments in your skin because it's your genetic makeup. So I feel like that was an absolute bullcrap excuse. I also wanted to just mention that Tarte is not the only brand that does this, that only includes a select grouping of people. I feel like, you know, makeup brands like Essence and Catrice and stuff like that, and okay, maybe they're like lower budget brands, but they're not all inclusive, and there's like 4 shades of their foundation and their darkest one is too light for me. So what is that saying? That really is saying a lot, and I know the frustration if you wanted to try something out and you can't get hold of it. It is highly annoying, like highly annoying, because they just don't include you. It's not because it's out of stock, it's just that you've been ignored and not included. I just think that's, you know, not acceptable. I didn't want to go in too much about the politics behind this, but I did feel like it was important to mention, and I'm so glad that so many people are, you know, speaking out about this. And you know, I think it might shed a bit of light for other brands as well to possibly expand their foundation colouring and to include more people in their foundation selection. So that is enough about that. I am only testing out this foundation because I have it sitting here and I just want to see what it's like. I actually just want to give a full review of it. Tarte have released more shades since the initial launch of this product. I want this video to be helpful perhaps down the line if they include your shade and you can actually finally pick it up. If it is something that you do want to pick up, you know, that you can come back to this review and see, you know, how I got on with it. Saying that I am the goddess of foundations and I know everything about them, but it just might be helpful, this review. I am in the shade Medium Honey. Found even for myself, I have sallow skin, but there's a slight, like, I don't know if I'm neutral or a little bit of yellow in my skin. I don't even know how to test that, but I found it very difficult to find a foundation shade for myself. And generally with most brands, I even like Pennies, who have maybe like 10 different foundation shades, I usually find my shade, but I found this one anyway in Medium Honey, and I'm praying it works out for me. So I don't know if you can see that there, but it is just gone 11:25, so we're starting at this time, and then we're going to wear it for roughly around 10 to 12 hours just to see how we get on. Prime one side of my face because I always prime one side, and I just feel like that works out the best for me, just to test how it goes on with the primer. And the other side I'm going to obviously not apply primer. There is 30 mils of product in this, or 1 fluid ounce. It comes with a doe foot, and I will talk about shades and everything in a mere moment. So I'm just going to apply this onto my face. The colour looks okay. It's a tad bit light, maybe. It might oxidize, so it would be okay. So I'm just going to start with that amount because I have no idea what the coverage of this is like. And I'm going to go in with my beauty blender on this side just to blend it all out. Okay, so I think that shade is actually okay for me. It's blending out quite nicely. There's a good amount of coverage from that foundation actually. So that's what one layer of that foundation looks like, and it does look decent coverage wise, and it matches my tan that I have at the moment. Well, I've washed it off. Chewy's crying at the door, I have to let him out. Oh my god, I can't believe what I'm just after doing. I turned off my camera, proceeded to apply the foundation, and now I've come back to realise that I never pressed record. and I don't know where I left off. And I'm raging right now. Okay, I'm back again. I've just removed half of the foundation so I can actually show you what I did, because there's no point otherwise. So I'm just going to apply. This doe foot wand is messy, guys. If you pull it out too quickly, product kind of flies out of it. So what I was saying the first time I applied this is the foundation oxidizes, and I don't know if you can see that, if it's evident on camera, but when I initially apply it, it's a lot lighter than on this side. I feel like it oxidizes quite deeply. So the other things I was saying about the foundation is I found that I got very good coverage with it. However, I prefer the application with the Beauty Blender. I just feel like it sits a lot nicer on my skin. This is a very matte foundation, guys. So if you have dry skin, it will just, I don't know, maybe not be your cup of tea, because it's very flat matte. When I tried out the LA Girl foundation, I found that it was like a satin matte finish and more like suede on the skin, whereas this is very flat matte. Like, there's no luminosity off this at all. So as you can see, this side is much darker than this side, but it will get darker. I did enjoy it with the Beauty Blender, obviously a little bit more, but I do find that the brush blends it out quite well and you get good coverage. So I'm just going in with the second layer. So it layers up really well. It blends out quite well on the skin and I quite like it. This side is not sticky. Like, I don't feel like I would even need to set this, but being oily, of course I am. I'll just throw that on the floor. Quite like the coverage from it. It's not sinking into any fine lines. It is quite like flat matte and drying looking on the skin. Like, even looking at it underneath my eyes and around my jawline. I hope you can see that up close. I don't have dry patches on my skin, but I do feel like if you did, it would cling to them because it is very, very drying. My under eye area looks a little bit dry at the moment, but I'm liking it. And with oily skin, this might be great for me because it might hold back my oils and keep me dry, not sinking into any fine lines. At this moment, I've just applied it, but it looks good. All in all, it does look good. I'm pleasantly surprised. Right, guys, so I'm just going to talk about a few claims of this foundation. On the Tarte website, there's only 18 shades, but I heard that the summer there's more coming out, but that remains to be seen. So details about this. It's vegan, oil-free, full coverage. It feels weightless on skin and it has a modern matte finish. So I do feel like this is weightless. I don't feel like it's heavy on my skin at all. Provides the same full coverage as its concealing predecessor. So obviously as the Tarte Shape Tape concealer. Smooths over pores and imperfections, rich airbrush full coverage that dries to a flawless matte finish using a unique concealer inspired wand. The formula absorbs oil and shine while leaving skin creaseless, hydrated, free of flakiness or cakiness, and helping to improve skin's health with every application. Now there is obviously the hydrating formula of this as well. I was not getting that, no way, no how, not the way my skin is. It's so incredibly oily. Even last night I was at a gig with Lisa and I was wearing Estee Lauder Double Wear and my oils were starting to come through and I was like, oh my god, I can feel like my skin getting oily, and she was like, no, you just look glowy. But I was like, no, I feel oily, and Estee Lauder never does that to me. But obviously at a sweaty gig you're gonna be, you know, your face is just going to start melting a wee bit. We're in Whelan's as well, just if you're wondering. I used to always go there in college, haven't been in ages. I don't really have much else to say about the foundation right now. I will come back to you once I've set it, applied other products on top of it just to see how everything sits on top of it. Right now, I am very content with it. It looks lovely on my skin. Like I said, it's not seeping into any fine lines and it looks beautiful. It does look a little bit heavy on my face. Like, I do look like I'm wearing foundation, but I don't feel like I'm wearing foundation, so we'll see how we get on. Once it's all set, I'll come back to you guys and we'll talk a little more. So it's just gone 1:30, guys, so that means the foundation's been on for 2 hours, and I just did a full tutorial or full face testing Tarte makeup. If you guys want to see it, I'll link it in a card up here or down below or something. I want to give you a little bit of an update on the foundation, obviously, because that's what you're here to see. After 2 hours of wear, it's looking sensational on my skin. I really like this on my skin actually at this time. It looks flawless, really does. I don't really have too much to say since the last time I applied it, but it's only been 2 hours. I don't expect there to be too much craziness going on after 2 hours. I will come back maybe around the 8-hour mark. I think that will be interesting just to see how it looks then. This foundation almost sets itself. Like, I mean, it didn't feel sticky or anything like that. It feels quite like matte, which meant I didn't need to use that much powder. Some foundations I feel have a lot more moisture in them, or a lot more like liquid water, whatever, and they've taken off a lot more to actually set. This didn't. Everything went on top of it really, really nicely. My contour, my blush and highlight went on beautifully. My concealer blended out lovely. Now I did notice I got a tiny bit of creasing from the under eye concealer, but since I powdered it, I got rid of the creasing, so it might have been just like mixing with the foundation right off the bat, but once it was set, as in my under eye area, there was no creases there. My foundation's not creasing, it's not sinking into any fine lines, and usually it sinks into my smile lines, my little 11s here, and then my frown lines in my forehead. Not doing any of that. The Elegir Pro foundation, Pro Matte foundation, sank in a lot more into my creases in my forehead than this one is. I have such an itchy ear today. But it sank in a lot more than this foundation is, and I think it looks beautiful on my skin, and I'm really surprised to be saying that, and I thought I was gonna hate it, but we will see how we get on. Like I said, it's only been 2 hours. I'll check in with you guys later on for more of an update, and like I said, if you want to see this full tutorial, it'll be linked down below. If you're here for my second update of the day, it's a 7:30. Foundation has been on 8 hours, which is usually your standard working day, a long day at college, a long day at school, but it's usually how long I want my foundation to last on my skin. I usually want to be able to have it looking nice around this time. Looks a little bit more glowy on my skin, like it doesn't look like that flat matte. My natural oils are definitely starting to come through, but there is no creasing on my face at all. Now I have only seen maybe a handful of reviews on this, and a lot of the people that had reviewed it had said that it had creased a ton on them, and it's not creasing at all on me. It's not sinking into any fine lines. It's sinking in a teeny bit to my pores more on the unprimed side, which I'm actually okay with because I generally wear a primer with most of my foundations. Like I very rarely skip that step just because I am so oily. I'm definitely feeling like my face is a little bit more dewy, if that makes any sense. I don't feel like I'm wearing any foundation, but I don't feel like it's tight or that flat matte that I had earlier on. My natural oils coming through definitely is improving the wear of this foundation for me personally, because I do like the feel. I know this sounds really weird. It's not that I like the feel of my natural oils, but I like to be able to feel like my skin is breathing. Does that make sense? That I'm not like clogged up on my skin or anything like that, or that it's thick and that I feel like my pores are being, I don't know, saturated. I'm actually sweating. I need to take off this jacket. I'm impressed with this after 8 hours of wear. It looks incredibly fresh on my skin. Like I said, no sinking. Everything is still wearing quite well on top of it, like my foundation, like my bronzer, my contour, my highlight and blush. Side note, I've been wearing this eye makeup for 8 hours and it's still looking pretty good, and the blue eyeliner that I put in my waterline is still there. There's not really much else I can say after 8 hours of wear other than I'm very impressed with it. And like I said, I have seen a few reviews, obviously because this foundation's been out a while, and I did notice that it was sinking into people's pores, and I was terrified of that and creasing a lot on them, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna hate this foundation. But after 8 hours of wear, I'm actually slightly impressed. I'm kind of happy with this foundation and the wear of it. So you can see a little bit of my natural oils obviously coming through, just a little bit on my forehead, just around my nose and stuff, but no seeping, nothing like that. My lips look a little bit dry at the moment. And do I have lipstick on my teeth? How is that even possible? Maybe it's on my Invisalign on the inside, excuse that. Anyway, yeah, I think it looks really, really good. I don't have any major complaints about it. Everything looks nice. I don't know, I have nothing else to say at 8 hours. There's something weird with the undertone of it. That's the only kind of major complaint I have about this foundation. I just feel like the undertone is a bit strange. I feel like that's everybody's complaint with the foundation, is the shade. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you in a little bit. It is 11:16, so this foundation has been on for just shy of 12 hours. I am very, very, very pleasantly surprised with this. I need to see it a little bit up close in a mirror. It has gone a little bit oilier obviously in my forehead region and on the side of my nose. It has seeped in just a little bit into my smile line. Nothing crazy, nothing I'm really upset about. It doesn't look cakey on my skin. I was wearing my glasses, it's worn off just a tiny bit on my nose. Pores look okay, like I've seen them look a lot worse. My chin is a little bit oily. It hasn't rubbed off along my jawline or anything like that. They're kind of the only major comments I have to say right now. I'm super impressed with this wear after 12 hours. Normally I would come back after 10 max, but because I put it on so early this morning, I said I may as well like come back really, really late. To be honest, this foundation didn't change much throughout the day. I didn't feel like Oh my god, I have a frog in my throat. I didn't feel like it felt heavy on my skin or anything like that. I didn't feel like it was going cakey or my oils were seeping through too much. I will blot like I do with every foundation. Just want to kind of get a bit of an indication of how much oils are actually on my skin. So they're the oils that are on my entire face. It's not too bad. There was a tiny amount of transfer. I love this foundation more after, we'll say, about 2-3 hours of wear versus when I first put it on. When I first put it on, it just felt really matte and kind of flat on my skin. But as my natural oils came through, I feel like it brought a bit of life into the foundation. I feel like the natural oils kind of added a bit of natural glow to the foundation. I'm really happy with it. Like, I can't stress enough how happy I am with this. I'll zoom in and then I'll give you my pros and cons on this foundation. So now we're nice up close and personal. So I don't know if you guys can see that. Just a little bit of wear around my nose, just where my glasses were. You can see my jawline, everything's still intact. I had a spot, or have a spot in the middle of my head. It's still kind of covered up. Everything is still looking quite nice on my skin. There's no cakiness or anything around my nose. My pores are obviously obvious because I have pores, I have oily skin. It's something I can't escape. And you can probably see on camera just a little bit of creasing around my smile lines, but again, nothing crazy. I think it wore amazingly well on my skin. Like, it does look flawless for 12 hours of wear. Primed side definitely looks way better than the unprimed side. I will continue to use a primer with this, and something like the primer that I use, a silicone primer. I want to go through a few pros and cons. So the pros of this foundation: long wearing, really full coverage. I also like the packaging of it. I think it's really luxe. Keeps my oils at bay. That could be a con for you if you have dry skin, but for me it's such a pro that I don't look like an oiled slick mess after 12 hours of wear. Obviously the long wearing and longevity of this foundation is great. It's non-transfer. I don't know if it's waterproof or anything. I don't know if it ever made any claims like that. The price of this as well, if I didn't mention earlier, is $40, which I think is pretty reasonable for a high-end foundation. It's around 35-36 euro, which is kind of standard for most high-end foundations. It's not up with the YSLs, but it's not down with, we'll say, like the drugstore foundation pricing, just if you're wondering. So the cons of this foundation: shade range. Need I go on about that? The shade range is pathetic and it needs to be improved. I feel like this foundation doesn't match me perfectly, but it looks okay and I can get away with it. In the summer months, it's going to be definitely a little bit too light for me because I will get darker as I'm tanning and stuff like that, but for now it's fine. The other cons of it are, I can see this foundation getting very cakey and heavy on skin, definitely, if you over apply it, depending on how you apply this. I could also feel that this foundation could be heavy on certain skins as well. I thought it'd be really heavy on my skin, but it doesn't feel heavy, so I'm not sure how that would be on most people. The other things about this foundation are the suitability for dry skin. I would not recommend it, just because if you have dry skin, obviously you don't really have too much oiliness coming out throughout the day, and I did find that this was really flat and matte when I first applied it, and almost looked a little bit powdery on my skin nearly. It just didn't have any life to it, and you could see that from earlier on. It's an oil-free foundation as well. If you do have dry skin, that might be a deterrent for you because it may just make your skin look drier. But there is a hydrating formula of this, and it has a little water droplet on it, and blue, like where this is purple, it has blue packaging. I wouldn't dare try that because hydrating scares the living lights out of me, because I'm like, wow, I'm just going to be so greasy at the end of the day. So I try and stick with something matte. Do let others know in the comment section if you have dry skin. Have you tried it? Does it work for you? I could also see this possibly clinging to dry patches on the skin, just because it is quite a heavy consistency. I have nothing else to say about this foundation, guys. It gets 2 thumbs up for me. I know you were probably expecting me not to like it, just because of the taboo going around about this brand and the foundation, and I just always give an unbiased opinion. You don't have to buy it, you don't have to listen to my opinion, you don't have to care about Tarte or support them. That's your own prerogative. I bought all these products, again, not even knowing about the whole kind of taboo, because I was just in a different world at the time. But I obviously have learned since, and that's why I was a bit reluctant to do this, but I just thought, you know, put it out there. I'm praying they bring out more shades. praying, because this is a really, really good foundation for oily skin. Well, I think it is anyway. Okay, my camera has just like moved that way. I don't know what's wrong with it, and it just shut off. If any more questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I will try and reply to as many of you as possible and help each other out in the comment section. And yeah, that's all I got to say. Thank you so much for joining me today, watching my video. I really, really appreciate the love and support. You guys are amazing, and I will talk to all you in my next video. Mwah. Love you guys.